Hey everyone, One Spittin' here. So this is an introductory video for the Grail Quest Tournament 2013. It's easier to do an introductory video and tell you my list and why I brought it and my plans for it, my goals for the tournament, and then when I make my battle reports, I don't have to go through my list and that kind of stuff. So Grail Quest is in its 5th year. It's out of Durham, North Carolina, which means it's relatively close to where I live. I know the tournament organizers very well, and it's part of a five tournament series where the top 10 players based on those tournaments get invited to a Masters Invitational at the end of the year, and the winner is crowned, Grand Poobah of the region. And they can also go to the National Masters Invitational. So right now I'm not in the top 10. It's actually been a really, really bad year for me with tournaments. Just a lot of very mediocre finishes. But nevertheless, they take the results from your top 3 tournaments, and so if I do really well in this one, then that would dramatically affect my score. And your score for a tournament is based on how many players are in the tournament. So in a 60-player tournament, if you came in first place, you get 60 points. So I'm not really expecting to do well enough to make the Masters, because not only do I have to do well, but other people have to not do well, and I don't believe I can count on that, and that's okay. So it's 6 games. 2,500 points. We have 64 players signed up, but I'm going to say 60 players because we always have last minute drops. They're using a Swedish comp system, so it is comped, but not really. For one, you can have up to 250 points from the Storm of Magic book and at a 0-2 selection, so you can't have like 10 saber tusks, but whatever you bring from that Storm of Magic book does not get counted towards your comp. So automatically everybody's scores are going to be a little bit better than they otherwise would be. Plus, the scoring system is going to be 20-0, and you can get 5 bonus points per game. So you can get up to 25 points per game, and 6 games. So 6 games by 25, you're looking at 150 points possible there. And the difference between a 0 Swedish comp and a 20 Swedish comp is obviously only 20 points. So I don't predict a whole lot of people bringing soft lists as per Swedish comp. There's not a huge incentive to do it. So it's a comp tournament, but not really. So I'm bringing my Empire Council of Light. If you watch my battle reports, you probably have figured that out. I've been playtesting it quite a bit. This is the list I decided to run with, led by my Archlector. I've been a real fan of the Archlector on the War Altar because it kind of like the Steam Tank, it fulfills a lot of functions. It gives me Leadership 9 in an 18-inch bubble, which is absolutely huge. Very, very helpful. I don't like all the points I have to spend to protect them. The War Altar comes with a 4+ ward, but the Archlector doesn't, so I have to pay a lot of points to give him a 4+ ward. I've decided to go ahead and give him the Speculum. Not that I want to get him in combat, but I can't risk an opponent charging a character out, squeezing through my lines to get in there and then punking me, just because he's got some uber character. Plus, with the Speculum, I can do a supporting charge into combats, issue a challenge, and tie up one of his characters or force him to not use one of his characters. Either way is pretty good. Give him the Charm Shield because you never know, and give him the Warrior Bane because if I get into a prolonged challenge, I like the idea of my opponent having fewer and fewer attacks able to come at me. So I say fewer and fewer. We trade stats, and I only have 2 attacks. So once I do a single wound to him, he only has 1 attack. So my Battle Standard Bearer, I gave the White Cloak of Ulrich. It's a very expensive upgrade. I mean, he has like the plate and stuff like that, but basically he's got a 3-up, 5-up, and everything in base contact with him is -1 to hit. I don't like sinking that many points into it, but it's just I can't always keep him out of combat, and I need to protect him somehow. So my light council's in the lower left. I gave the channeling staff to the level 4 just because this list is built on having good magic phases. The magic won't win me the game, but what it can do, it's designed to take out the things that otherwise are impossible to take out. The Demon Prince. Things like that, that otherwise are you just can't do anything about it. So my level 4, I can almost guarantee gets banishment. My War Altar has a bound spell banishment. They're cast at a 10 and a 5 respectively, so they're really low casting values, and they're at strength 6 and strength 7 respectively, as long as everybody's within 12 inches of each other. So I really have a high threat potential with that. Um, not to win the whole game, but certainly to take care of one or two things that I don't want to have to deal with otherwise. So I think it's pretty powerful, but I do need big magic phases. Let's see. So then I have, I have shooting as well. I have a great cannon and a steam tank. And steam tank I could put in a lot of different categories here, but it does shoot. Anything I can't get with magic or that's too far away out of the range, I still have a cannon and steam tank that can shoot at it. Of course, the steam tank's main purpose is to tie up otherwise impossible units to deal with, tie them up, whittle them down, and then hopefully get a flank charge or something else. Um, I've got my footsloggers lower left, 2 blocks of 45 halberdiers. One of them has archer detachment, which I prefer to put my light council with. They can absorb a lot of wounds. They can't do a whole lot by themselves, but I've got Lore of Light in addition to having that long distance threat. Once we get in combat, has some great buffs, and with those buffs and with the War Altar buffs, these guys can do a lot of damage, can take some damage, and like I said, there's 45 bodies each, so I do like them as anvils. I've got heavy hitters, meaning I can actually do some wounds with some things. I've got one unit of 4 Demigryph Knights, and I brought the giant Chaos Spine Beast and gave him the Always Strikes First upgrade. That keeps High Elves from being able to reroll against him, and against Initiative 3 stuff, he can get the reroll. And then I brought the Hurricane because that gives me 1 extra power die, which is very synergistic with this type of build. So overall, it looks like that. I'm sure you've seen it before. And you'll see it afterward with all my battle reports. So my plan is something roughly like this. I deploy not necessarily in a corner, but let's say in 2/3 of the table or half the table, and my steam tank goes on one flank. His job is to guard that flank, not against everything, but against things that I'm really worried about. His job also can be to let me diagram this out. Its job is also just to tie up an Uber Death Star, as long as I feel that Death Star can't kill it too awful quickly. So the steam tank's going to shoot up or to the right, probably just to lock things down. My Giant Beast and my Demigryph Knights, I'm not necessarily looking to shoot them forward as much as they have that long range threat, so it keeps people from being too cavalier stuff, but I am willing to throw them out there. I think, one, they can take a lot of abuse, and they can dish out a lot of stuff, so I'm willing to put them out there to clear off chaff, to get countercharged, and even if I need to lose them, because I think in the process of doing that I can greatly weaken whatever else is out there, and then my halberds can mop it up. I don't love that, but if I lost both those units, that's still only about 500 points, so it's actually not too big of a deal. I do like the idea of being aggressive. I'm not looking to table in the corner because I don't think I can get the big wins if I do that. I do need to move the halberdiers up, keep it close together with my Hurricane and my War Altar, so that I can force combats when I'm ready for them. So then during shooting, War Altar and level 4 have banishment. War Altar is only 24-inch range. Level 4 can boost his. But one problem is I need to get my War Altar up within 24 inches of something worth killing on turn 1, because I can't boost that. It's a bound spell. And the problem is I really don't expect to be able to get banishment off on turn 1 because most opponents will have a dispel scroll. So I can make them burn their dice to stop it once, and I can hopefully make them burn their scroll to stop it the second time. And so I really don't think I'm going to kill anything turn 1. If I can get through the dispel scroll, and as long as my opponent can't get that big nasty Gribbly into combat on his next turn, I should be able to kill it then. I have some shooting. My cannons haven't done a whole lot for me, but I have one just in case, because you never know. I like the long range threat of it. And shooting is not the steam tank's main purpose, but I am willing, as long as it doesn't take him out of where I need him to go eventually, I can angle him a little bit off to make sure I can shoot at something that needs to be shot at. Ultimately, I think the game's going to be won by my halberds. Again, I don't want to lose the Giant Beast, the Demigryphs, and my steam tank, but I'm being very risky with them, expecting I'll lose 1 or 2 per game. I think at least one of them will survive. I want to move the halberdiers up and get in combats that are game winning for me. That by the time we get there, they're whittled down enough And with all the buffs, I mean, I can have hatred, I can have rerolls to wound, I can be weapon skill, there can be so much stuff going on here with big magic phases at the time of game when I don't need to be casting banishment, where I really think I can get off with all the spells and bound spells, at least a couple buffs, 2, maybe even 3. And so they can really wrap things up for me. So, my goals. In all honesty, my goal is always to go undefeated and win the whole thing. But that can, it's a dice rolling game. I'm not sure that's a good, healthy way to go into it. So I'm saying, and I've said this before on my Facebook fan page, my goal is to do 4-2 or better. But more importantly, those 1 or 2 losses, if I have to take them, I want them to be small. I need to be smart about not trying to go for the win at all costs, but being willing to take a small loss because it doesn't kill me for the tournament. So preferably none or maybe 1, but no worse than 2, and both of them small losses. And on my wins, I need to quit with this Empire army. I need to quit having only small wins. I need at least a couple of these to be real big. So that's what I'm going for. And out of 60 players, I'd love to be I'd love to win it. I'd love to be in the top 3, but whatever. My goal is to be in the top 10. So there's the background information on the tournament, and when the battle reports go up, you can compare it with that.